So here we are at the South Dakota Air and Space Museum, and they've got quite the collection of aircraft out here. And we're outside the entrance to Ellsworth Air Force Base, which is a rather large Air Force base. Now you can see the rather large collection of airplanes. You got the big B-52 in the background. You got an airplane that we're looking for in front of us is a B-1B, and you can see several of the other airplanes. We'll hopefully enjoy the tour here. Here we are at a Titan rocket. Let's see how big this thing is. So here we are at a F-111 Aardvark. Here we are at the T-38 Talon. This is the aircraft that my brother used to fly for about 16 to 17 years when he was in the remainder of his time in the Air Force. If you can imagine teaching people how to fly in this thing. Hey, this one's in good shape compared to some of the junkers he used to fly. So here we are at the Vought F7 Corsair. So here we are at the U-3 Blue Canoe and the U-8D Seminole. You can see it. And here's the So here we are at the F-102A Delta Dagger. Here's a F-101B Voodoo, and this is a real Canadian Air Force airplane, actually. It's neat. And here we are at the F-86 Sabre. And here we are at the C-47. Here we are at the A-26. Just tell me doing her thing. Here we are at the B-57 Canberra. So here we are at the C-131 Samaritan. we are at a O2 Skymaster. So here we are at the UH-1F Iroquois, or a variant of a Bill Huey helicopter. Here we are at the F-84F Thunderstreak. Here we are at the F-105 Thunder Chief. Here we are at the T-33A Shooting Star. And here we are at the B-1B Lancer. You can see how truly colossally big this aircraft is. And here we are at B-25 Mitchell.
And here we are at the F-100 Super Safer.
Here's what a A2 Genie missile looks like. Here's the AMG-28A Hound Dog. See how big this thing was. Here's an experimental 4-blade propeller for turboprops. Here's what a J-47 jet engine looks like. You can see several of the other engines back in this corner. Here's a B-1B and B-1A bomber engine looks like. Here is a Wright R2600 Cyclone engine. Here's what the basket for a World War I artillery observation balloon would look like. Here's a modern flight suit. Here's a modern day Air Force uniform for the women, for the males. Here is what a U.S. Army Corps uniform looks like. And here is what it looked like during World War I. Here's their headgear that they would have worn through all the generations. Here are the hats they wore. There are several neat models. Through all the generations of Air Force service time. Here's what navigation charts look like. Here's what several of the munitions look like. Here's what a Norden bomb sight looked like, which they would have used in World War II on like B-17s and B-24s. You're somehow supposed to hit something that looks like less than an ant on the ground from several thousand feet. It's way beyond, more power to them, way beyond me. Here are some of what practice bombs look like. Here's what a 100-pound bomb looks like. Here's the casing for a general purpose bomb. Here's what the cockpit of a F-106 Delta Dart simulator looks like, and somehow you're supposed to squeeze yourself in there is way beyond me. These things were definitely not built for large people. I don't have any idea how you cram yourself in here with all your gear on. Boy, is that tight. And not accidentally hit all these control knobs. Yeah, exactly. Here's what another one of the hulls look like. So what nuclear missiles look like, or nuclear bombs look like. Here's what an AC-47 gunner's flight suit looked like. And here are several aircraft from Vietnam, spooky gunships. Here's what a B-52 looked like with the bombs underneath its wings on the pylons. And they really loaded them down. Here's some of the models from the Korean War. Here's some of the models from... This is what people used to fly in during the Korean War. They used in the MASH units. Somehow you're supposed to feel comfortable flying in that thing. Here is a incredible model of the Saturn V umbilical tower, and getting ready for it to launch. And here's the almighty weather balloon that the Air Force uses as a cop-out excuse when people spot aliens and they say, oh, it was just a weather balloon. Well, there's the real thing that they use as their cop-out and their cover-up. Here is what the bomber and the radar officer looks like on a B-1B. You can see what some of their control stations look like. The bombardier. Here's what the cockpit of a B-1B Lancer looks like. Again, large people need not apply. I don't know how they cram themselves in here with all their gear and look at all the crazy knobs and controls they've got to push and not accidentally push things is way beyond me. Wow. So here is a B-36 diagram. Here's an incredible model of the B-36. You can gather how truly large these airplanes really were. Here's the unfortunate downside of war. Here's what a bomb disposal suit looks like, and more power to these people. Have to deal. They have the unfortunate job of cleaning up the mess.
Okay, so we got civilian right now.
Here's a Nike Ajax rocket. Here's a C-45. Here is a Minuteman II ICBM. So here we are at the Vietnam era camouflage painted B-52. And you can see the pylons where they mounted all the general purpose bombs on it. You can see how colossally big this thing really is. And what's different about this B-52, it actually has a rear tail gun in it for defense. Potentially they could have shot at some targets on the ground. Maybe. You can see the pylons where they mount bombs on it on the B-52 here. So here we are at the B-29. This is the first time I actually ever got to see one. It's really
What an impressive Air and Space Museum. What an impressive collection of airplanes. Please help support my channel by subscribing and possibly making a contribution to my Patreon account. Thank you.